Okay, I'm gonna make one more little video here, and before I go and spend some time with this and do a better job, the video that I want to do is basically I want to quickly show you how to connect your bump and color together. Okay, so you're kind of doing both at the same time. So I'm going to zoom in here and take a little look at this, because right now I'm just doing color and everything looks kind of flat on my surface. Okay, and I'm going to go up here to channels, and when I'm in channels, see I'm on the base color. Now you'll see this problem that shows up when I'm on the layers. Let's move this layer thing over here, and hopefully no stupid auto docking feature shows up. Okay, good. And I'm on this layer, great, or I'm on the base color, and I can see my layers. If I go to bump, this changes. Okay, and what I want to do is connect my color layers to my bump layer. And over here, when you're in the channels palette, if I go in and hit this little button right here, dook, it breaks off my base color. So I can take this and I'm going to move this over here. Actually, this is my layers. God damn it. I just crunched on screen space. So I'll just move this over here and I'm going to tack it so it doesn't disappear. A little tack on the side. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to the bump layers. Okay. Actually, you know what? I could we'll probably do this if I crack them both off here without going to layers. Anyway, whatever. I'm just going to have the layers open. And then I'm going to go and select this and hold down shift and select that as well. And if I hesitate over it, it should tell me the hotkeys. And it's not telling them to me. Okay, there's two different ones. There's control and shift. If I take control and shift, I can grab this, copy it over, and see a little straight line on the top here. It's on the bottom, put it on the top, boop. It's copied and it's linked these layers with the ones in the bump. And you see the little chains on them. If you hold down Control and Alt, you can just copy them straight across. But we want to have some kind of connection here. And I'm going to close this thing now. And let's close this palette. I'm on the bump. Okay, and while I'm on the bump, layers, we've got to see what's going on. So we don't really see much of a connection right now. When I look at this, I can barely see it, but I can see it because I'm looking for it. Okay, something has changed. If I go into the shaders, let's move this over to the side. Freaking auto docking, man. I don't know who it was that disabled that feature, but good God. Oh, you son of... I thought I was safe, and there it just auto-docked, and I have to reach, I have to change the freaking size of this thing. I tell you, I bet you it was somebody who knew they were going to quit and turned this off and then quit the next day or at the end of the day or something. They just left it and screwed it up, and no one noticed, and I don't know if anyone's complained about it, because, okay, whatever, enough of my whining. I'm on the principled BRDF, the biradial reflectance distribution function. Okay, just a fancy way of saying refractions or reflections, index of refraction. And if I go down here, I scroll down, there's the shader, and there's little sliders and controls here for various parts of these textures I've got up here. If I go to the Mari surface section, that's where your bump and displacement lives. I've had no real success using displacement, but I am interested in bump. I'm going to crank up the bump to about 1. And as soon as I do that, you can see I've got the bump value popped up. Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to hide this. And now if I go back to layers, if I go into the shared group, and I could rename these and everything like that. If I go and I paint on the mask, and I've got my paintbrush on, you see that as I paint my color, I'm painting my bump at the same time. Okay, that's awesome. And then if I hit X, I can bring it back. And I think I've got my symmetry on, so I can have rust underneath here, and then I'll just hit B and I'll bake it. I probably want, whenever I'm painting a mask, I always like the auto bake feature on. Okay, and and again I hit X and I can take it away again. You're going to figure out where you figure rust is going to collect. Okay, and then hit B, or I might put on auto baking. Now something else I might just play around with here for a moment is you notice that this rusty area is kind of pushing out and the paint seems like it's receding, so that seems incorrect to me. If I go up here and I've just selected the shared group, if I hold down Control, that deselects it. If I right click, I can go in and create an adjustment layer, and I'm going to go and use first off, luminosity should go in and make this into a black and white image, or black and white texture. And actually when I did that I screwed it up. There's luminosity is actually going to the shared group, so that's boring. Let's go and take that up to the top. There we go. So it's above my shared group, and that made it black and white. And if I want to check that out, I can go over here to the side. If I hold this down, you can check out things like your current channel. So you see the whole channel, see the whole bump channel. It's going to take a moment. And there it's showing me in black and white what's going on. The white areas are pushing out, the black areas are pushing back. So luminosity has made everything black and white or grayscale. So I'm just going to go in here, right click, an adjustment layer. Let's use something like Invert. That's going to flip them around. Okay, and maybe if I want this the whiter area to push out a bit more, I could even do something like Invert, adjustment layer. Let's go and throw on contrast. Okay, and we'll see what this looks like. So we're seeing the contrast, and if I crank up my contrast a little bit, there we go, we get some darker areas, and I can change my pivot. Okay, maybe, let's go this way. Oh yeah, somewhere around there, that feels good. And now, if I go back here and I say, let's use the shader and see what it looks like. Just waiting a second, roll it in, figure it all out, and there we go. So now we can see this one's kind of pushing up, that's kind of pushing back. Okay, and as I paint, if I go in here to the shared group and I'm painting the mask, again, let's go down to another area down here, and as I paint, I gotta hit X and flip the mask around. There we go. Now, this is bringing us to our next issue. Let's hit B and bake that. The next issue is right here. This is really shiny, and this kind of looks a bit flatter. This looks extremely shiny. So, then we've got to do this same connection over with the specular layer. Okay, I can do the roughness or the specular. I think I'm going to go for specular. So, let's see, I got my bump out here. So go to channels. Let's try and do this a slightly different way. So I'm going to close down the layers here. If I go into channels, if I go to, let's see, I'm going to use the bump in this case. I'm going to break that off. I get a little floating panel for all my bump layers. Come on. And I got to hit that pin button, otherwise it disappears, and then I'll get all frustrated. You'll hear me curse in this kind of Fred Flintstonian language. Okay, and then I'm going to go over and I'll use the specular. So I'll hit this, and there's nothing on the specular. So let's see if we can do this. If I go and I grab the contrast and I hold down Shift and I go down to the triplanar here, I hold down Control and Shift on my keyboard, drag these over, get a straight line just above the base. Okay, so now those are being shared across to the spec, and we can close this. And we're seeing a problem here. I'm going to be on my specular. Let's close this, and I think as I'm recording, my computer is going to slow down, I suspect. So specular. Okay, let's go to the channel here and let's see what it looks like. Current channel. Dook. Actually, it's not as bad as I thought. But this dark area, there's still a lot of highlights, white highlights in there. So let's go in, and if we're looking on the layers, so we got shared contrast, invert, luminosity. Okay, let's go in and throw another adjustment layer on top. And so what if I did, I wonder if a clamp is going to help, or levels, invert. I almost want to break the contrast off and give myself another one. What if I did that? I'll try the clamp first. Clamp, minimum. Okay, that's not working the way I want it to, so let's take the maximum down. And that's not doing what I want it to, so let's bring this back up again. And am I getting anything out of here that I want? Nope. So that's not doing what I was hoping it would. I think I gotta break the shared contrast. If I go in and turn that off, and I wonder if the clamp will do any good here now that I've done that. And do I see anything? No. And if I bring it this way, I think it's got to be a contrast, so I'm just going to take this and select it and delete it. And I'll see if I can pop on another contrast on top. So if I go down here, adjustment layers, contrast! And I crank up my contrast, and I find the pivot on my contrast. Not that way, I go this way. Oh yeah. And I crank it up, crank it up, crank it up. Still looks like I'm having a lot of problems in here. I might even just end up manually painting some of this down. Okay, but let's see what it looks like. So we got this white shiny area here, and we got these darker areas. So now if I go back and I put this on user shader, we go back, and there we're now seeing this is kind of shiny, it's sticking out, and there is some hot spots in here still. So how about this? I'm just going to go onto the top of this, and just to show what I'm thinking about, I go to this layer and I'm painting black. Anything funny going on? No. I'll just come in here, and you can see I'm starting to lag. But as I paint, it's getting rid of that shiny speck. So actually, I should almost be sharing my freaking mask, you know that? If I wanted to, do I want to show that? Or is that going to make everybody freak out? It's going to make people wig out. If I go here and I hit B, it'll be baked on. But yeah, if I really thought about it here, if I go and I hit the mask, and I want to put that on my specular, what I can do is if I have this selected and I right click, and then I did something evil, like I went down here to layer mask, and you can't see this because it's outside outside of the options, add mask, and that comes back again. And I did like actually, where the hell is it? Mask stack. Sorry, not layer mask, it's called make a mask stack. And so now it looks like this, and when I click on this, I get this extra stack of layers. And if I well, I have this selected. Actually, I'm just trying to remember, this one's kind of funky too. Yeah, you got to use the buttons. If you right click on this one, you lose it. So if I went in here and I took those two, so I've got this mask that I'm using. Oh crap! I could take those and hold down Control Shift and put them in here. I'm going to do some testing on that because I haven't really thought about that through, but there you have it. There's how to kind of use this mask, and also too, while I'm in the mask and I'm on this shared mask here that I can paint on. Remember that as I work on this, I can work on, I'm working on three channels at once, and I'll just hit B and bake it. And if I just hit X, I can take it away again. Okay, and it makes it look more interesting. And I'm gonna stop this video now.